Okay, we are recording. James, how you doing?
Good, very good, very
Lovely
good.
stuff. Lovely stuff. Where are you today, James? We've just been chatting actually before we press record, and I've been banging on about my life in the clubs and where I am. I forgot to ask, whereabouts are you today?
Glasgow,
Nice, nice.
Glasgow East End.
Lovely, lovely. Well, James, I want to ask just quickly how you found the 18 months of lockdown, how you found that personally and creatively, and then just maybe touch on how you found that moment of being able to go back out and gigs and things like that. How was that for you?
Well, one, I was trying to finish an album at the time, which had been taking quite a while, and because it was the first album that I'd done with the band, just completely the band and nobody outside it. So there's a lot of things having to kind of learn for the basics, you know what I mean, and engineering side of it. And so to be honest with you, I think if it wasn't for the lockdown thing, I think I'd probably still be recording it now. And that was like, I don't know, 7 years or something. So, in that way, I just use it as like an opportunity, you know what I mean? Because it's just, I've got more time to just kind of finish the things. And I'm one of these kind of people that if I didn't have my fiance making sure that I was going to like sociable things, you know what I mean, like a pub quiz or something like that. I mean, I would never have my own kind of thoughts to, you know, I mean, want to go to a pub quiz or anything like that because I'm a weirdo. And but I actually do love it when I do go out and do these kind of things. So I guess it's a shame not to be doing the things that are kind of good for me and make me a bit more human or something like that, you know what I mean? So I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy to stay in my own thing, really. Anyhow, I've never really been that kind of guy that's on it. You know what I mean? It's like getting like meeting up for lunch and all that, and be part of that. I've never been like that really, or I've never really enjoyed going to like clubs or anything like that. But then I guess when you've got everything took away from you, but like there's a lot of things that you're just like, shit.
Yeah.
I actually really need this now, you know what I mean? It's just human nature, I guess. You just appreciate it, you know what I mean? Some of the things you maybe just take for granted a bit.
Yeah. It was really interesting seeing after we sort of managed to sort of reopen my venue, seeing 2 years worth of kids that had turned 18 that had never been to a nightclub, and seeing these kids like that are like 18, 19 coming into a nightclub for the first time and hearing like some of their favorite records, you know, loud in an environment with you know hundreds of other people. It was something really special to see. It was just like, these have never experienced this. This is like, normally you turn 18, you go to a club, but they'd not had that for 2 years. And to see it like after all the sort of delayed, you know, because of what happened, them finally getting into a club, they didn't know half the records I were playing, but they didn't give a shit. It was just like, this is loud music with like, you know, loads of people in this kind of crazy, dirty, smelly environment. And it was just glorious to see, really was. I think that
I don't think about that kind of thing. So like a lot of other people's like situation, I guess, a certain age,
yeah,
that timing and that thing,
yeah,
that would affect stuff like that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's interesting. And so, what were you doing for the 2 years then? Were you just in the club, like kind of like a glass, like drying it for like 2 years?
Yeah, I was like Wixie from EastEnders for like 2 years. Yeah, it was just quite strange. Our club's quite famous for having a really dirty, sticky carpet. And
I'm very proud of that. So you sound like you're really, really proud of that.
We are. It is literally our unique selling point. And so we was about to get it changed just before lockdown. And so when we did, we cut it up into little squares and framed it. And we sold 5,000 of them to our clubbers like which basically helped pay the bills like throughout lockdown. Everybody wanted this bit of smelly carpet from our club, which was we didn't think we'd sell many, but it went absolutely bananas. So yeah, that was quite a strange thing to do during lockdown. But I found
the fact that you're even mentioning how bad it was, because it's like just sort of like quite standard that there is a lot of bad ones out there, but yours must have been a next level bad.
Yeah. Oh, mate.
You know what I mean? Some people don't notice it's just there, and that's the way it always is. But you've noticed how bad it is. You've cut it up into squares and you've sold it to people. That's mental.
I did feel when I was talking to some of the clubbers last Friday, I was talking to you about before we press record about them having to kind of have their COVID passport, and I was just thinking, fuck, man, there is worse shit in that carpet than COVID, man. And if these have survived this for the last God knows how many years, they must be bulletproof. But right, well, James, let's talk songs. And I'm going to kick off with the first track, please. And can you tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please?
Well, Sam Cooke, A Change Is Gonna Come. I mean, I guess with a lot of these questions will probably be like a few songs here and there that I could have chose or whatever, but I guess that'd be the first one that would, just jump into my head, and that's something that I mean, you're talking about, you know what I mean, the theatre, the kind of, it's like, it's a song, but it's one of the ones that kind of, it makes you like see a lot of pictures with that song. You're right inside that, it's like a movie. And if what he says, I mean, it's quite a perfect song, really, I think. And I think for what he's singing, the way he's singing it, the Fenton's going to, you know, what's going to be the setup for that, what's going to set that thing up. And that intro is just magical.
I couldn't agree more. I wrote down my list when I first started doing this podcast of what mine would be, and I chose that for this question as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most perfect records ever made. And what you said there about being able to picture it, I mean, it's been used so many times in so many kind of pieces of film about civil rights and things like that, and it's just perfect. The strings at the beginning are just so beautiful, and you just think, how can you top such beauty? And then you hear Sam Cooke's voice, and it's like, fuck, that's one of the sweetest things you'll ever hear.
Sam Cooke is well like loved and well known and all that, but sometimes when you listen to him, you can't help but get that a wee bit of a feeling that I don't even know if it's enough.
Yeah.
Like, it should probably be spoke about more even.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that with certain artists, and especially when you maybe go back and listen to them again, you're reminded of how powerful it is. And you get to sit and listen to him, and then you're like, he's going to be the best. You know, and then I guess you could maybe play a Bob Dylan record, and then you'll go to that and think that you'll just change your mind and Dylan's the best, you know, Lennon or something. But when there was another, I mean, I think when the band first started, I remember me and Rab, my cousin, we'd just be discovering a lot of songs all the time, different bands and all that, like, you know, for that time period, maybe like the 50s and stuff. And you know, we kind of like, you know, like shit, a lot of Sam Cooke things came back and forward, and he's got, I mean, there's some songs that aren't really that well known, and they're really heavy, you know what I mean? They're just, it's something else, you know what I mean?
It really is, and I kind of stumbled across that because I think I'd heard maybe Wonderful World, just because it's one of them songs that's just out there and you can't escape, you know, it's there. But I think in the sort of late, about 87, 88, Levi's were doing a big string of adverts and kind of pulling up old great soul records, and I think they used Wonderful World, and then I think Cupid then got a release as well around the same time that Jackie Wilson was doing Reet Petite and Sweetest Feeling and stuff like that. And I remember just asking my folks for a Sam Cooke record, and I got it for Christmas, bizarrely, and it's called The Man of His Music. It's deleted now. It's a double album. And I remember just like Christmas Day, just sitting there, like reading. It had all this information, and I'm a huge like boxing fanatic. And there was just this amazing photo of Sam Cooke with, like, at the time, Cassius Clay. And it was like, oh my God, this is like, it just blew me away. And like literally spent all day just like listening to Sam Cooke. I've not seen it yet, but have you heard about the film about, have you seen it?
Yeah. Great. Great.
Is it good?
That's great. And that was some of the things that when I was first getting into Sam Cooke, it was that thing. It wasn't even just the songs and that. It's when Cassius Clay at the time was saying, "This is Sam Cooke, greatest rock and roll singer in the world."
Yeah.
And it's like that and that. That's the way it should have been. That's the way it's always going to be.
Yeah.
They two in the ring. Yeah. He's a champ. It's like, and I think that was the thing. It's just as much as the music that would just make us feel like, I want magical things to happen in my life. You know what I mean? I was probably unemployed at the time and all that, and when you see these kind of things, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie, that the Muhammad Ali one.
Yeah.
It's really, really well made, inspiring and all that. It's great. I was just going to ask you about it there before you asked me, actually, when you mentioned that.
Well, I'm going to ask you, while we're talking about very powerful emotional records, I'm going to ask you to tell me, for track 2, please, James, the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you.
Well, it was must have been in the 90s, and it was a song called Philadelphia by Neil Young that was in a movie starring Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. It was Neil Young performing it. I didn't know who Neil Young was or anything like that, and it was just, I guess it was one of the kind of times in my life I was kind of like quite young, didn't really understand, or I've never been exposed to some of the things that's in the movie, really. So that was a kind of first, it's like opens your eyes, and it's like a lot of real struggles, and it's stories told in such a powerful way that for me at that age, it was really an amazing thing, because when something is told with such, when something's made with such kind of like, like a master's made something, and it's no like clumsy, it's no. So then when there's people like me that don't really know anything, and they're going to be like educating you, and I remember when I started the movie, it was weird because it was during the day. It was at the Forge Cinema in Parkhead, and there was hardly anybody there. It was me and my sister, and when I walked in, it was just like I was always like trying to annoy her and like throw sweeties, and I was making a lot of noise with my opening the sweets and all that, and Denise was like, "Shut up, James, shut up." And I thought, "Oh, this is great." So I wasn't interested in the film, you know what I mean? It's like Philadelphia, it's this. And then half an hour passes by, and the sweets just stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's it. And the world looks different. When I walked out, the world looked different. And I think that probably sometimes when I'm thinking about these things, like, when you're like sort of looking back on this first songs like that made you feel anything like emotional or whatever, you know, it sort of makes sense as to why, you know, like maybe I would write some of the things that I would write myself, you know.
What was the emotion that you got from hearing that?
Empathy, and it was, you know, whether it's a stranger, whether it's somebody who's related to you by blood or whatever, you know, I guess you just feel your heart sore, you know what I mean? Because just because you care about people, you know, whether it's strangers or whatever, I love people, and that's what films like that has made me realise, you know what I mean? Whether it's somebody I'm walking by in the street or whatever. I know that I couldn't deny that, like saying that, you know what I mean? I know that that's true. But it was just, I think the thing is, it's like, you know, you're already sort of your heart's breaking and you're hanging by a thread here. And Neil Young comes in then at the end with a bazooka, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny, I mean, like, you know, with a medium like movies, film, when that moment happens, when that look happens, and when that melody hits, or the song hits at that point, and the angle's just right, it's so powerful, man. You know what I mean? Which has probably been a lot of us that have been exposed to music that I never really knew who the artist was and stuff. You know, like a lot of music growing up, really. You know, I didn't really listen to music till maybe I was a wee bit older.
Was there music on at home growing up though?
I just sort of hated it. I always just thought I just don't like music, and I think it was just like I'm really quite, in a lot of ways, I'm quite out of touch with, you know, it takes me quite a while to understand that the way that I would receive the music, and you know, feel like the first times I hear the music, I would listen to it in a certain way, but just assume that it was the way that I think that's just the way the rest of the world does as well. So I wouldn't think anything of it because I would be like this, where it would just be like in a supermarket or whatever, but I would listen to the song and start to like kind of take it apart and thought, you know what I mean, like, and separate it, and all the different chords, how they would move from one to the next would almost be like a shape or a picture or a thing. And it was only till I was older then that I realised that not everybody, I'm sure not everybody listens to that the same way. And here's me, I thought I hated music, you know what I mean? That shows you how stupid I am. But so that song, but there was music growing up in the house, and my sister would be playing things, Madonna, Kate Bush, Bob Marley. My ma would, and it wasn't always cool people like that my sister played. It was, Denise will kill me for saying this, but I remember our first single was an artist called Sunita, So Macho.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how it goes? For anybody that doesn't know how it goes, so macho, he's gotta be big and strong, enough to turn me on. And by the way, that's a bit of a weird lyric, that as well, because she was probably about 10 years old or something.
Yeah.
Going repeating this. So there was things like that as well. My stepfather is a massive Doors fan. And I used to always just say, that's rubbish, that's rubbish. Turn that down and all that. And he would just always he'd always bite. And then like a lot of things with my stepfather, it was like he would tell me something was cool, and I'd be like, no. And then I had to go back a few years later and say to him, can I get Adidas Samba? I quite like the Doors now, and so I just had to go back my tail. So now I just try and listen to him when he's telling me something's good, because I love the Doors.
Yeah, it's impossible to be a cool dad though. I have tried to influence my daughters with music, and it doesn't matter how cool I think it is. I'm their dad. I'm not cool. They've got to find it themselves.
Tell me about it, man. It's I never look. I never look for it. I don't know if subconsciously or maybe like without really feeling like I was trying to look for it before. If I did in any way, I don't know. That's been shut down. It's been shut down in the early days. Now my daughter, she's 10, and it's like I think I actually feel like when she gives me a compliment about something, which isn't that often, bless her, I actually don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I feel like confused, embarrassed. I like about a state when she actually gives me a compliment.
Yeah.
So no, I don't look for it. I remember the first time when she was a bit younger, I was showing her like when I was recording some music, and so I was showing her, this is the drums, this is the guitars, and when I'm playing it, this is all these instruments playing together. So it's like a new song or whatever I'd been writing, and she listened to it, and it's the most honest, and it's the most honest review anybody's ever gave that I've seen or heard. That she wasn't carrying any like sort of like baggage into the review, like something personal. They just don't like you, or they don't like the way you blah blah blah. Right? It was just pure for the heart, man. And she just listened to the song, and after it, she was just like, she in her mind, she was just thinking, there's two options for me, right? So I can make something that's cool, or something that isn't cool. Because I'm making music, so I can decide that. She's at that age where she thinks that I can just decide if I'm going to write something cool or not. And that's the two options. And she was really confused. She took the headphones off, and she was just like, why did you want to just write something that was cool? Like it was an option for me. And I was like, that's cool. Get the headphones back on, listen to that again. And just repeat until you think it's cool, right? Made dinner, meal after. But no, she doesn't. She doesn't ever. I mean, when it comes to music like that, she never really bats an eyelid. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. But she sometimes asks me to show me things in the piano or whatever.
I was. My daughters have never engaged with me about music, and I've spent years in bands and DJing like rock clubs and things like that. So it's everything for me. And the conversation never happened. But my youngest is now has just started college. I went to pick her up the other day, and my phone rang, and I always had my phone on silent, but for some reason it wasn't. And I forgot that I'd had a ringtone from like years ago. My ringtone's How Soon Is Now, and it rang, and she just went, I was listening to that the other day, but do you know what? I think I prefer Big Mouth Strikes Again. I nearly wrote the car off, James. I was like, fuck. she's found the Smiths. I was just like, I was welling up, mate. I was like, this is crazy. I'm having a conversation about the Smiths with my daughter. This is great. I'm loving it.
They're going to get to it. They're going to get to it at some point, the Smiths and all that. But, like the Doors and all that, they'll get you. They'll get you eventually. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, just going on something you said about, you in one ear you was here. I mean, I should also say I did not expect a Glasvegas rendition of So Macho on this podcast, but I enjoyed it. But I wondered, like, with like the kind of pop music, and you talk about Bob Marley and Madonna and things like that, and that's brilliant pop music. Like Madonna at that point was writing such infectious hooky pop songs, and then you're getting weighty stuff like The Doors as well. And as much as at the time you might not have thought that was going in, do you think that subconsciously it was? Because when I hear your music, I can hear real heavy weightiness and really great pop hooks and sensibilities as well.
It was totally organized. It was totally organized, and it really, I think it totally was. And I think even for my mum as well, my mum would like play Roy Orbison, and she'd play like she'd play some things like Roxette and all that, and it was just, that was kind of killed me a bit, you know what I mean? It was like, I've told people before that I can still hear the Hoover. When I hear Roxette on the radio or something, I can hear the Hoover. Where I can't. It's like that. It's an engine starting in my. Do you know what I mean? In my mind's this. But I think it's funny with some songs. It's like some of the things my mum would play. I think that, you know, when you're a kid, although maybe your ma's not going to tell you everything that's going on in her life, but you back up probably a lot. Like if there's hard times or whatever, it's just things are just a bit tough, you know what I mean? And I can start, and I think it's probably where the music my mum would play is probably the music that sometimes when I hear it, it's kind of like I'm back in that. I'm back in that. How light it was that day, or how like what my memory is yet. And you're right back. It's like a kind of weird. You get songs that sort of take you back to a time, but then you get other ones that just you can just taste the air. It's just do you know what I mean? There's ones that really, and it's like that song. Is it Eternal Flame? Is it the band?
Yeah.
That's one. It's just it's like it totally. It's like you're just, and it's not always a good. You know, some of the Christmas music as well that you used to get is like, it reminds me of being poor probably, and feeling sick because I've just been tanning all my selection boxes, all the chocolate and all that. But there's a kind of darkness there, because you're a kid, you're known as much control of what your life is. You're relying on like parents, you're relying on these other things that are just, it's an uncertainty that goes with it, you know what I mean? And depending on how you kind of grew up, you know, I love my childhood, but it's kind of like some heaviness at times, you know, like a lot of people, like, you know what I mean? And I think some of these songs, it's always some of these strange ones that really kind of makes me, oh, holy shit, man, it's like quite hard to turn it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something in that Bangles song, Eternal Flame. It's that fucking how's it called? It's like the organ thing. That's like the B3 organ or something. And it's like, what's it got? It's some percussion thing that must come in. Is it a triangle or something like that? I can't remember, but it's that like a fucking vibe, man. You know what I mean? It's a good song. Do you know what I mean? And that's the funny thing, isn't it? It's like, that's like, you know, if some people think like, oh, what would you feel like if somebody didn't like the music, or somebody, I mean, all the things that I'm talking about now, I hated the Doors, right? So if somebody was to say, hey, I hated the Doors and I loved them, then the next, you know, I'm turning down a song that's a cracking song. Yeah. Not because of, do you know what I mean? So when you kind of know all the things about the way you've been in the past, it's just like, it's all right, you know what I mean? If anybody would like a song, that's amazing. And then if they don't like it tomorrow, that's cool as well. That's all right. You know what I mean? Because people have got a weird sort of a way that they, you know what I mean? Even if they would disregard the song, it can be for a lot of different reasons, man. You know what I mean? It reminds them of something that they don't want to be reminded of, or whatever. You know.
Well, let's stay in the formative years, and I'll ask you for track 3, James, to tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
Time at school, do you know, there was just probably a bunch, and it would probably be a bunch for like when I'd be like walking on the bus. Be walking on the bus and putting my money in the thing, and the bus driver would have the radio on. And there was things like, I remember one song that stuck in my mind was Depeche Mode. I didn't know it was Depeche Mode at the time. To me, they just sounded like every other band. Like, it was like, it could have been any other band for that time, you know what I mean? But obviously they don't, you know what I mean? I was daft. And, but it was Enjoy the Silence.
What a record.
Oh, man. I was thinking, oh, that's stuck in my mind, that song. Of course it's fucking stuck in your mind. It's like, because it's almost it's probably perfect.
Yeah.
It's like talking about Sam Cooke and all that. It's like, I mean, it's a different thing, but I mean, still, you know, it's kind of perfect as well. You know what I mean? In every way.
Yeah.
You know?
They're my hometown band. They're from where I'm from. They were the residents in my club. Like, so they started off, and like our resident band was Depeche Mode way back in the early 80s. So yeah, we're fiercely proud of them round this way.
And that's when they were, and it's like when they first started, it was like proper like pop band and all that, and the way they looked and all that, wasn't it?
It was so, it just got darker and darker and darker, and oh yeah, what a band. And I think massively underrated. Like, they're still, you know, selling out these huge arenas all around the world, and it's like when people talk about big British bands, no one mentions Depeche Mode, and it's like
they don't need them to mention them, you know, because they'll just, I went to see them. My pal was supporting them. My pal was in the band the Ravenettes, and he was playing a gig with them in Stockholm, and me and my fiancée were staying at the time. And that was the first time I'd seen them playing. Yeah, I think. There's some band. I think he's one. I would say that I don't know about how underrated they are. Maybe they are because they're that good. But I think him, the songwriter. I think the songwriter could be spoken about a lot more, because he's one of the best British songwriters of all time, I think. You know, one of the best.
And I think like he writes kind of obviously about what's going on for him, but it's how them songs aren't written by Dave Gahan, yet he sings them with such fucking conviction. Like, you'd never question that that's not him singing about his experiences. Like, that's what makes, I think, Martin Gore and Dave Gahan's partnership perfect.
Yeah, I know. Because even he's got some voice as well, the guitarist.
Yeah,
it's like a mad voice he's got. It's quite like the vibrato and all that in it. They got kind of got like almost like a female, like a gospel sound. They're special, amazing.
But we digress, because that's not your song choice, is it?
Right, I know. So when I was talking about the songs for that period, so it could have been like I came through like a bunch of different things. It would take that or something, you know what I mean? Like sitting in a girl's house or something like that, you know what I mean? She's got posters of like that Mark Cohen, like that on every inch of the bedroom, and you're just sitting there like you're standing on the pillow, like you're like that wee Jiminy Cricket thing, that wee standing on a pillow. You know what I mean? You're trying to move out the way when she sits next to you in case she crushes you, because you're that small, you know what I mean? The Mark Cohen everywhere. And so I could have been a bunch of things, but I guess it was the first album that I ever bought was Pulp, Different Class, and at that point, up to that point, I still thought I hated music, and then that was the one that was. But no, not at that point. I thought I hated music. I'd already bought my first single at that point, but it was a band that made me think, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend money on an album. It's not going to be one of my stepdad's crappy albums or Denise's crappy albums. It's like, I'm going to buy an album. And it was just like this event, you know what I mean? And I remember getting the album and taking it home and just like reading through the book, and I loved the different pictures in the book. And I remember one of my pals, Siobhan, at school, I must have mentioned to her then in school that I like the band Pulp or something. And she's like, I love Pulp. And she's like, I've got a different class of vinyl with the pictures. And so there's this kind of special one that they made where you could change the photos on it. And that blew my mind. I just had the CD book.
Yeah.
I was happy with that, but that blew my mind. I was beneath that. That wasn't my place in the world. You know, I've never thought about buying any ski wear and going skiing. That's not my place. I'm beneath that. There's certain things that never change. That you're just like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
So I just did my wee CD book, but I just loved that album, and it was probably at a time in my life as well with a few things that were probably going on that led to me probably spending a lot of time like on my own kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it was kind of good timing for getting a Dynamite album and just getting lost in the songs and stuff.
Could you connect with the songs? Because, you know, they're very working class, aren't they? They're completely written about, certainly, although I live in Essex and not Sheffield, like so much stuff that Jarvis was singing about was, well, yeah, that's where I live. Like, you know, this I could instantly just connect to that. Could you see anything? I'm a few years older than you, James. So, but like, you know, even like, you know, at a young age, could you kind of hear what he was singing about?
I could. I mean, there's some stuff that I probably, maybe, I got most of it probably. Maybe some of the nuances that were maybe lost on. I don't know. I think when it came to probably, when it was like pointing towards sex and that kind of thing, I would be a wee bit more clueless probably. I don't think that. I'd be a bit more like, what's that he's talking about? I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
And it sounds a bit creepy. You know what I mean? But I was probably old enough, I should have known. You know what I mean? You know, so it's like I was quite quiet when I was younger, quite like, you know, like outside my man, my sister. I can't really remember talking to any lasses, you know what I mean? When I was younger, really that much. Apart from Siobhan about the album, different class. But so I think that side, it probably there was a lot of things that was, you know, that was like quite a bit like I'd never really heard it put like that in maybe a song, and but then there was a song on the Trainspotting album called Mile End. There was one that I was like, fuck this, because I think I got different class, and then I heard that song on the Trainspotting album. I was like, fuck it, holy shit, man, this band is just like, it's just another thing, they've just done it again.
Yeah.
I understood everything in that song.
Yeah.
Aye. Quite tragic, innit? Didn't understand so much of the sex stuff, but understood, like, you know, somebody pissing in the high flats and all that. That was my life. I understood everything in that. And then I think I heard like they done Jarvis done a cover with, or was it an original song maybe? I think it was maybe like Echo Belly or something like that, one of the bands. It was like, maybe no Echo, but they done a cover and I heard that in the radio. And that was back in the days where you heard it in the radio. You were fucked if you didn't hear who the artist was, or I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to stop it? Are you going to stop, pull out the side of the road, find a phone box, go in, somehow know what the radio station's phone number is, phone it up? What are you going to do? You're fucked. And I didn't hear who it was, and it was one of the ones where it added to it in a way. It's like him singing with a female, and they're singing about how much they hate each other. Have you ever heard this?
No.
We need to Google it in a minute. But it's such an amazing song. And then when I heard that, then I was just like, all right, I need to go and get the other albums now.
Yeah.
Because I thought maybe different classes, just like, I'm not bothered because it's not going to be that, you know what I mean? But then Mile End, and then that other one, I was like, oh shit, man, I better go and get all the other albums, and I did. I got all the, I didn't get the first one though. I didn't. They'd one really a lot, like
yeah.
I
I
didn't
think
have that much money to take a chance on it. I didn't have that much. You know what I mean? It was a chance. I was taking a chance, and I was never rich enough.
I think he's one of the, you know, certainly throughout the 90s was probably my favorite pop star, favorite frontman. I thought he was incredible, Jarvis Cocker. He was like, he just wasn't like anybody else. And I thought he was incredible. And I think, again, like, just wrote some, I love it when people write really infectious, hooky pop songs, but the subject matter's bleak. Like, I really like when they sort of play off against each other. And I think I've heard it a million times and played it a million times in the clubs, but I think Common People is one of the greatest pop songs ever made. That full version, that middle 8-bit where you'll never understand how it feels to live your life. Like, fucking hell, man. Like, yeah.
I remember watching when we played Teen Park, it was on the TV. And I came in the house and Teen Park was on the TV. And it was one of the kind of, holy shit, man. You just see a different future for yourself, you know what I mean? You don't see exactly that, because the idea of being in a band, it's like, if I wanted to play the guitar, and anybody who did play the guitar, that wasn't, I didn't identify, like, I didn't see myself in them, you know what I mean? Like, Smelly, you know what I mean? Like, Holy Jumpers and all that, and just like, you know, like May Lassies would talk to them. But it wasn't what this is not how I planned it to be for myself, you know what I mean? And but when I seen them on that Teen Park thing, I don't think I'm going to join a band or anything like that, but something happened, you know what I mean? It was like, and it was that when they played Common People. Amazing.
When, like, one of my go-to things to do if I've had a you know, a drink and I'm gonna, you know, listen to music, I like to watch performances. And there's a brilliant version of Pulp headlining Glastonbury when they stood in for the Roses in the 90s, where they do Common People, and it's amazing. And it's because you can hear the crowd, and there's something about hearing crowd singing that absolutely sets my bottom lip wobbling, and it's a weird thing to do. I like listening to crowd singing songs when I've had a drink, and I quite like getting emotional with it. Sounds strange, but it's one of my little things that I like to do. Went back and was looking at stuff that you'd done, and I saw the performance of Cheating Heart, where you barely sung a note, and the crowd. So I presume you know what I'm talking about, that performance. And
I'm not sure about performance, but like, I know that the crowd have sang and all that, and like, and it's been really loud and stuff. What gig was that?
It was Glasgow.
Right.
And yeah, and you literally, it's incredible. And I just want to ask you how that feels when something that you may have written on that guitar that's sitting behind you now, like in your bedroom, finds its way into the universe, and then at some point you're standing there and there's fucking, you know, crowds of people screaming your work back at you. How does that feel?
Not the same as what it feels when I would see the Pulp thing, because that's something that it's you're on this side of the camera, you know, and you're like, you're looking at that, and then the other way around, it's different. It's the difference between maybe going to a boxing match and fighting in a boxing match. That's what it would, if I could sort of say how different that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? being in a boxing, being a fight in a boxing ring isn't the same as being at a boxing match, you know what I mean? And because there's probably different things. It's like, I think surprise is probably one. But that's, you're not really, and a part of you is, when I go on stage and play, then I'm kind of, you're lost in that expression and the music in that kind of moment. It has a kind of effect on you that nothing else has ever been able to like kind of get a hold of me like that, you know what I mean? And if I did get conscious about any of the things, like I would probably feel a touch of like surprise all the time. I don't really know if sometimes I would maybe in the past maybe feel like, oh, like I shouldn't say things like that, you know what I mean? Because somebody might hear that and then think, oh, that's quite disappointing if he's saying that. He should know what he is, you know what I mean? He should just, you know what I mean? But that's the truth, and I think that a part of you feel like the world's a good place and that things work out, you know what I mean? And I think a part of you as well, it's like a lot of the time, and I think it's probably the same for other artists as well, it's like you don't really think about it as any compliment on you or anything like that. It's not like that. It's like if you've got like a dog or something like that and you love the dog and you take the dog out and somebody walks over and pets the dog, you don't think, oh, I'm wonderful. You know what I mean? And it's like that. And that's maybe the way it should be, really, as well. Yeah. Because almost it's just like, I'm just like the chauffeur, you know what I mean? In a way. No any more important or any less important. It's still pretty important because you still need to like drive straight and all that.
Yeah.
But when the song comes, it's like, you know, when you're picking all these songs apart, like the Madonna ones and all that, I mean, nobody was forcing me to do that. So it's just fortunate that I was a weirdo and wired that way, you know what I mean? And then when I was writing music for the band, it was because now it's like something that people would be more like have more awareness of the music or whatever. But you know, like most things that maybe are a bit like, you know, a bit different. It's probably not always going to be quite an exotic time for you because, you know, if you're unemployed, you're mid-20s, you're singing songs in Glasvegas about a social worker or something. Now it's like when people like, oh, it's an obvious thing, it's a good song or whatever, that's the way people would look at it. But like a lot of things, if you were really to go back to that time and look at, you know, how it was, it's not as obvious, I don't think, and it's not as clear as to what's going to happen with that. It's because it's like it's different, or you know, it's harder to surprise is something that I feel, and it's amazing. It's fucking amazing. You know what I mean? It's amazing when you come off and it's like, I remember like my ma was at a gig in Milan and she's up in like some balcony thing, and this, you know, the crowd were so loud, you know what I mean? And I looked up at her and I'm just like, you know, that's that. That's it. You know, she looks at me, she's always totally like, you know, you know what I mean? This when I was a lot younger and all that, and but there's something when that happens, it's a different thing. It's always the belief in the love and all that, but when that happens, there's something that's been like, it's like something that's been added on you that can never be. I'm never going to go back in time and change what happened there. That's it. It's done. You know what I mean? And I think I can tell that they're all the kind of things that just it makes me feel amazing. You know what I mean? But you don't. I never think anything about like, you know, myself. Oh, it's wonderful what I've done in it. It's not like that.
Well, What was the first record you remember buying from a record store, James?
Records store? Right, so it was Streets of Philadelphia by Bruce Springsteen. I know that I was talking about Philadelphia earlier with Neil Young, so this song is also in the movie. But the reason why all these things happened, that would be the same, like, you know, it makes sense, the emotion through the thing, and then I would buy the first thing. And it would take a lot for me to buy a fucking bit of music.
Yeah.
Because I was totally embarrassed. I was in Asda with my mum and my stepfather. And I had to pretend that I was going to like look at computer games or something. And the music bit was a different bit you pay. The music bit was a different bit for when you pay when you're buying food. So I totally sneaked away to the fucking music thing like a fucking troll, man. Do you know what I mean? Like a weird fucking, you know what I mean? As well as laughed, that's pure like creepy fucking effort or something. And I put the tape and went, paid for the tape, put it in my pocket. And then when I get home, I had this wee like cassette player and the headphones. And there was the bit called the middle eight in the song, for anybody that maybe wouldn't know it. And it's a bit where you get the verse and the chorus or whatever, and then you have a wee different bit in the song before it would maybe go to the end chorus. And the middle eight in that song, I would just rewind and play, and rewind and play. With, you know, maybe the headphones that you got, it's like a metal bit and it's like these sponge kind of bits there. You know what I mean? They're just pure like pure fucking, you know what I mean? Pure tight to my head. I'm just like rewind, play. I've probably done it about at least 50 times or something. And I just thought that's what everybody, you know. But it was what he was singing, the words he was singing, the way he sang it, the instruments that were playing, the synth, the way the drums sounded, everything together. It was a perfect bit. It was like a perfect moment, you know what I mean, in a song. And it was, you know, it was just a magical. So maybe that's one as well, that when I think back to it with what he was singing. The thing is, when I first started the band, me and my cousin, we were like, do you want to play bass? Or, a guy in my class plays bass. So we just turned up at his house. That's all bass player now. And, you know, we'd been to an Oasis gig or something like that. And I just thought, why don't I'll probably write, they're not going to write songs, I'll just write them. They didn't want to sing either, so I sang. But I was just thinking, I'd seen Oasis playing, you know what I mean? And I'll probably be like, I'll write something with Live Forever or something like that, or like Cigarettes and Alcohol or something. And somehow I ended up with like the songs that, it's funny how you think that you're getting into something, like, and it turns out that it was meant to be, but it was completely not the way that you would thought it would have went. I guess everybody in their lives has probably got different stories like that, you know what I mean? Which is pretty, I mean, it's pretty brilliant, you know what I mean? But when I listen to that Springsteen song, maybe it actually isn't as weird that maybe I would write the songs and the words that I do, because that was the beginnings of really getting into music, and there's something that I can understand that a bit more than probably what I can some of the other things I liked when I was a bit older, like Oasis and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But it's funny because it's like the different bands, different artists, different movies, different painters, that they don't always have the same like effect on you and have the same, you know, make you feel the same, like that you don't feel inspired to do the exact same, but you can, there's a different energy or a different feeling you'll get off it that you maybe get for Oasis that you would maybe get for the other artists that I was talking about. It's a different energy or something you would get for it, You know what I mean? So I guess it was all really important, and I would always owe that. I think I would owe it for me to like write the best songs that I can, and be as write the songs that is completely natural, that's coming to me, and no try and fuck with that, and no try and think about any other weird, or about I want somebody to like the song, so maybe I shouldn't make it like this.
Yeah.
You owe it to all the people that made you feel like you can't fuck with that, you know what I mean? And if nobody ever hears your music, nobody ever buys your music, tough shit. That's no, if anybody does, it's a bonus, but when you're getting into this, they're under the assumption that nobody's ever going to fucking hear that you exist, you know what I mean? And you still better be like everything you've got, and that's it, and no look for nothing, you know what I mean? And I think it's like that, you know what I mean? It's like an ocean of greatness, and you're turning up with like, you know what I mean, a wee drip. You're trying to get a drip into that because you owe it back in. The Sam Cooke thing we're talking about, all these things. What can you do? I mean, nobody knows how it's going to work out when they're maybe going to be starting any job or any music or anything. But I think that when something's moved you like that, the point isn't to be number one or to be well known or for the audience to all sing. That's not what the main point is. It's the point is just, I mean, you were talking about you were in bands and stuff like that as well. And that's what the point is. The point is like feeling that you've got after that music and just like wanting to, you know what I mean, do that thing, and whatever comes of that comes of it. That's cool. You know what I mean? And you think about, sometimes you see like, you know, something that could be Andy Warhol, it could be Marlon Brando or something like that, and it's all that same thing as well, because you get a different energy off all these things, you know what I mean, and inspiration, you know what I mean. But I Streets of Philadelphia, it's the lyrics to that of it's like that thing that it's like Sam Cooke, it's like it's a movie. I know it's a movie, but it's when he's. I was just listening to it on the headphones, and it was just you can picture every line in the song, you know.
Yeah, it's a beautiful record.
It says things like black and whispery like the rain. So black and whispery like the rain. I've never heard that before. What does that mean? Oh, I fucking know what it means.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means, so I've never heard it, but I do know what it means. You know, he's something else. That guy, he's something else.
Okay. Track 5, the song that soundtracked your year's clubbing.
Okay, right. So it was never really any kind of like proper like, you know, clubs and stuff like that. I'd normally be hanging about near the, like, you know, the closest fire exit in the shadows or something like that, waiting to, like, you know what I mean, just like a total. And I always remember my sister saying, like, through the loud music, we were in Benidorm, James, if you don't dance, no girl's ever going to speak to you. I remember like that. I looked down at my feet, what I mean, like long laces and all that, like pure nerd, and I was just like, I can't. Felt like I was going to get a nosebleed on a dance floor. I can't. I was too shy. And so I never, like, you know what I mean, I never hung about in clubs and stuff, but when me, Rob and Paul started the band and hanging out and all that, we would like to go and get a pint. So there was a club night in Glasvegas that had started during the week, and it was they would play like the Smiths and Happy Mondays and different things like that. And so we were like, that's you know, we can like kind of handle that, you know what I mean, like being in that noise, you know what I mean. And when we went in, I remember this guy was singing. It was like this really kind of like mad, like meathead guy, like, you know, pure skinhead. He was built like a brick shit house, man. You know what I mean? It was like scary looking guy, and he just was on dance floor and he just turned round and he was singing Shyness is nice. Shyness will stop you from doing all the things in life you want to or like or something like that. I mean, he was singing Shyness is nice. Like, he was singing it like a punk. You know, he looked like a proper fucking hard punk, you know what I mean? And I was just thinking, holy shit, man, that's fucking weird. What he's singing.
Yeah.
He's like terrifying looking. And he's singing Shyness is nice. And I was just like, holy shit. And I thought, fuck, man, that's some band.
Yeah.
That's some fucking band. I mean, that's fuck, what would just happened there, man, between that guy, Morrissey, and Johnny Marr that made that song, and then that guy's like, fucking, you know, it's weird, and it's had that effect on him to be like that, you know what I mean? So it's like he'll sing things like that, and I think that's a special band, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest memory I've got, like being in a club and hearing the music, you know what I mean? It's weird because I guess people would talk about the hacienda or a thing when you know what I mean, that they started coming up with a pill and the hacienda back or something, but it'll be the thing that changes. But for me, in my my kind of gloomy life, that's my standout moment in a club. It's not some magical euphoric kind of like, you know.
I'll tell you, James, you're in good company, mate. I've done 350 of these podcasts, and I reckon of all the musicians that I've spoken to, I reckon 80% were like, no, I'm not, never was really a clubber. Like, and you know, they said, oh, I'd go to my local indie night and stuff like that. But there wasn't many people. When I set this up, I thought there would be lots of people saying, oh, I went to Ibiza in the summer of blah, blah, blah. And this absolutely changed my whole mindset. And it isn't. I think so many, you know, musicians have kind of echoed a little bit of what you've said of just, you know, kind of like awkward and, you know, shy, and would kind of just be in the club because their pals were there. And yeah, you're in good company. There wasn't. We've had a few that have obviously that were of an age where they got to experience like the hacienda and you know the big outdoor acid house parties and things like that. But yeah, most people have lent towards that kind of finding your local indie night and kind of then sort of finding your tribe, really, finding your gang of mates that all sort of like the same music as you, and but then at that point, it said most people were starting to kind of write songs and were being in bands and stuff like that. So yeah, you're not alone, mate.
I just there's something that I've kind of like never really kind of understood a lot, like how people can like dance and they really like enjoy it and they really mean it, but the songs just come on, they've maybe never heard it before, and they're still getting it everything they've got, but they don't actually know what song. They don't know the song. I'm just kind of confused at how can they. It's not the world that's got a problem. I know it's me. You know what I mean? It's just that I can't compute how that works. Then, do you know what I mean? Like, but no, I've always been like that. My sister was always like, she was always the one that would just be like kind of like right in there, and I would always be the one hiding kind of behind her. Or the hiding behind my mom or something like that, you know what I mean? And it's weird because it's funny, like, I've had that like with everything in my life, but there's certain times where I'm unnaturally unshy and compared, do you know what I mean? I guess singing in a band and all that. You know, I've never felt any nerves that I can remember being in the band, being anything. I can never remember feeling shy being in the band. But I probably should have at times, you know what I mean? I should have probably been there, like, you know, like kind of on it and like maybe nervous or something before a big gig and all that. And I was kind of like a serial killer, man. I was just like no emotion like that, you know what I mean? And so it's weird that with certain things, you're just like, I could feel quite shy about certain things. And then there's other things like, you know, everything during the day feels like kind of a bit, you know, like maybe normal life stuff, you know what I mean? But talking to people or blah, 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 you know, that. And then you get the gig at night and then you walk on stage and there's a lot of people there. And that's when you feel like you can get a rest, and that's when you're getting into your living room. And that's a bit weird because you think all the other things really, looking at it on paper, that'd be the easy stuff. And if you were shy, then that'd be the stuff then that you would be like, you know, worried about kind of thing, because there's got to be a lot of people there.
Was it the same when you play football? Was you like comfortable, or was you confident, like, or would you worry about that?
With the ball, when the ball was there, if it was like, you know, in the dressing room, or it was before you meet up and all that kind of thing, I would always feel really, really shy. I mean, even the last team that was that released me, they were like, right, we want to get rid of you and bring in somebody else kind of thing. And I was like, my first thought was, know that I was getting the sack. It was just like, shit, I don't want to go to another team because I don't know anybody who's there. That was my first, like, it would take me kind of like a while, depending on who people were like. It would take me a while to get to know them. You know what I mean? I'm quite like that anyhow. I'm still like that in some ways, but it take me a couple of years before I really kind of know somebody or whatever. But then I guess when I was actually playing in the block empties, I didn't feel like, I felt like maybe the word is confident, I guess. I felt confident, and I felt I don't need to try and work out how to do this or what to do. All I need to do is just let myself go, kind of thing. And that was the same with music and the same with football. I guess for the better or the worse, if somebody would enjoy it, I would enjoy it. But I know that for my position, I'm glad that it is like that, because I think that a lot of different bands and different artists have got a much different sort of anxiety about probably their songs, their lyrics, their, you know, where they're at, their performance, and there's in that weird way I'm quite, I feel quite lucky because I've not got any of that thing, but I understand what it is they're talking about, and I'm just glad that I don't. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of these things could alter the experience being in a band completely. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm going to take you home for track 6 and ask you for a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please.
Well, I was thinking about a lot of like, you know, bands that maybe were Scottish and stuff, and it's no the they're good songs and all that. I think sometimes when it's like maybe songs that you've grew up with for your country, you know, like they're good songs and stuff like that, but maybe it's just I've not really viewed them as a kind of like thing that I would say, oh, that's my favourite. There's not really many that I could, and that's what I was thinking about. The first person, I think any artist, like Scottish, whether it's like, you know, movie director, painter, rock and roll singer, it's always Billy Connolly that is the first person that I'll always kind of like, oh, Billy Connolly, no matter, just when I think about greatest, like kind of Scottish anything, you know what I mean? And I was lucky enough to meet Billy about, when was that, about 7 years ago now, I think. And I song with him that nobody's ever heard. I don't even think I've really told that many people. Obviously, I'm pals with his daughter now after that, you know what I mean? We've been pals ever since when I met Billy. But he's just, it's quite mad to think that guy, there's still legends like that are walking this earth, man. Like that, you know what I mean? It's like, that's normally the ones that are the special ones that like feel it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, Charles Dickens or something like that, something that's feel like way back, and it's like a legend, it's just a myth, kind of. So he's still walking this earth, man, and that fucking, it's crazy, man. And he's it's a guy that I've always kind of just hard not to completely love, you know what I mean? And then I guess after meeting him and stuff like that, well, kind of blows you away even more the way he is. He's just really kind, really genius. You know what I mean? What's better than a kind genius? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you could be anything, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Aye. So I would say favourite song, Scottish song. If it wasn't Farewell, it's Billy Connolly.
Perfect. James, I'm going to ask you to play Tastemaker for the last track, and introduce something to the listeners of this podcast that you think they may not have heard. So for track 7, it's a song that many people may not know that you would like them to hear.
Well, I was thinking about a band called Mew. Now I'm sure that a lot of people will have heard their music. But I was thinking I'll mention them because they're a great band. And I don't really know how to pronounce one of the words here. So I know how to pronounce cartoons, and how do you pronounce that word? And I don't even know what it means.
You've gone for macrame? Cartoons and macrame?
I was going to say that. I was going to say I should have said it. I thought if I say it and it's like something completely different, I should have took the gamble. But so what's that? Do you know what that means?
I don't know. I'm so glad you chose Mew. I was really lucky. I'm a fan, and I managed to get Jonas on the podcast about 3 months ago. And yeah, he's lovely, and fucking hell, what a voice, man.
Aye. His personality as his voice. It's different. I got to know him because the producer on our first album had produced Mew, and he was saying, "Oh, you would like Mew," and I'd never heard their music and stuff like that. So they was playing a gig in Glasgow, and I said to Rich Costi, I was like, "Tell Jonas I'll take him out for a beer after the gig or whatever." So I went down and met up with him after the gig, and I ended up in some mad party with him. And if you know Jonas, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like, it was good on him for, like, he's a good sport about it, you know what I mean? But he ended up in a place that he probably, you know what I mean, that kind of like mad place. He's probably not in that often, to be honest, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's a brilliant guy, and he's one of the ones that's kind of like, it's one of the ones where he's different, and he's really good.
Yeah.
I went to see it one night, it was a few years ago now, me and my fiancée were driving to Gothenburg, and it was her and her pal and her pal's boyfriend, and they were wanting to see Coldplay. And so I went along and all that, and on the way there, we found out, she says, "Oh, Muse supporting the night." I was like, "Oh, that's amazing, I'll get to see him, I'll see him for ages." And I went in, and it's this stadium full of people in Gothenburg. Stadium full of people, and Jonas walks out, and he's not the kind of guy that walks out, who runs out and starts to clap to all the audience. Like, but it's the opposite of that. He's just like a doddle. He just doddles out onto the stage. Kind of like, he's got this long coat on, this long jacket, summer's night, and the stadium was full at this point, and it was just like, you could see him on the big screens and all that, and the audience are just like totally quiet, you know, just staring at him kind of thing. He's just he's totally chilled out, and it's just like, boom, right, here's a song. And then after a couple of songs, it's just like, thanks, this is amazing, this is great, and all that, and really enjoying it. And the stadium's pure silent, man, you know what I mean? They're just like, what the fuck's this? You know what I mean? We've got to see Coldplay, this is probably the bit as well, a lot of sport bands, you know what I mean? Where they don't know it and blah blah. I'm sure those heard it, probably loved it as well. But Jonas is this like pure slow motion, and he's got a bottle of Volvic in his pocket. It's not even like, there's not like any sense of danger with any kind of like, it's not like it's a wee bottle of plastic Volvic, and he's just standing there, and he's just like, takes a Volvic out his pocket, pure slow motion, man. I can see him on this big fucking screen, and he's just like pure taking his time, he's pure trying to unscrew the cap, He's just like, put the lid back on it. The stadium's full of people that are just like, what the fuck is this, man? Doesn't give a shit. Does not give a shit. He's no thinking of momentum, energy, like how to make this a good gig or anything like that. Because I tell you, it is different when I love both. I love the big bands or the real bands because it's a different thing where you can sort of maybe, I don't know, like maybe talk about things or like get a laugh or something when it's a smaller, when it's the big thing, there's a different energy because a lot of people and that's a cool energy to have. But you notice that there's a certain bit of choreography or like a ballet dance. So if you're just, it loses the momentum with it, and sometimes it's hard to, you feel it slipping a wee bit. It's a weird thing that you can't just switch it on and off to get it back. He did not give a fuck. Did not give a fuck. And it was amazing, and then he would just like, this next song, boom, and it would just be like some mad as fuck song.
Yeah.
Mad as fuck voice.
Yeah.
And just fucking glorious, man. I was just sitting, I was just like, fucking. That's not fun. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, he's not doing that thing, and sometimes when you see your pal doing thing, holy shit, man, it's like, it's amazing. Aye.
They're the band that signified the end of, like, when I decided I wasn't going to make music anymore, and like my band folded, and it was everything we wanted to be. We just weren't good enough to be what we wanted to be. But I got sent the single because I was doing, the clubs and the DJs used to get sent promos, and I got sent this promo from this new band called Mew, and it was, do you know the track "Am I Right"?
Yeah.
Like, and they sent me that, and I put it on, and I played it to the band, and I was like, this is what I want to sound like, and we're never going to sound like that. I think it's time to knock it on the head, fellas. And I remember just thinking, fucking hell, the drums, and then his voice, it was like, this is absolutely incredible. And then got the album and was like, yeah, this is everything I wanted to do in music, and I could never get anywhere near that. And it was like, I'm just going to knock that on the head and just enjoy listening to people that know how to do what I want to do. And oh my God.
At least you had the brains to actually stop. It's like with me, I've not got the brains to stop when I get a punching melody or something. Punching melody, I'm like, I want to do that. You know what I mean? I'm totally digging my heels in, totally stubborn, no giving up. Everybody's like, James, come on. My daughter's like, why do you not pick music that's cool? Why don't you like music that's cool? And it's going to fucking happen. I'm going to do it.
Well, James, as we kind of we're recording this just before Christmas, and this will be out in the early part of 2022. What are you looking forward to personally for next year, mate? And what's going to be happening professionally?
Well, looking forward to Christmas. I'm more looking forward to the Christmas songs. A lot of them, it's just that feeling I was talking about earlier, Wham and all that, like Last Christmas. It's a decent song, and you see that video, but it's something that makes me feel a bit, something's not right here with Christmas jumpers, and it's like a lot of lingering looks and all that, and Cliff Richard and all that. There's something about it, I'm just like, the darkness, like the altar boys and the snow and all that, it's like, I'm just like, something's not right here, I don't know what it is. So I'm looking forward to Christmas, so this, all that, and I'm looking forward to, I was just working on a new song the other day, so I've just been recording, it might be an EP, I guess, that I'll just, the band will release pretty, like, as soon as it's done, really, because it took us like 7 years to make an album, so we done with the album, and then I think it'd be good now just to do the opposite thing, like just put it, make music fast, good, and put it out kind of thing. That was always a plan, by the way. Do you know what I mean? I was planning on doing it quick 7 years ago. That was a plan, but it didn't work out like that. So I had that tour in February. So we just, I guess, we just take it as it comes with the whole, you know what I mean? We don't know exactly how things are going to play out. But even if it doesn't, if it does or it doesn't, then I'm sure that it's not going to be. I think we've come through quite a lot of it now, haven't we? You know, if you even think back to the position we were in last year, you know, it was pretty shitty, man, wasn't it? You know what I mean? We only had that Christmas Day. I don't know what you said in England, but in Scotland it was just the Christmas Day that we had, you know, and stuff. So at least things are, when you compare it to that, it's a lot better. Songs like the things I worked on with Billy Connolly and all that, I've got a bunch of things like that I've done with other people as well, like 10 years ago. So I'm hoping that, you know, like when I finish this EP thing, and then it's like that. And I think there's a bunch of things that's actually that need finished, kind of thing, you know. Aye, so that's that. What about you? What's your plans?
I'm hoping that I can keep my club open, and yeah, like lockdown has kind of shown me that this thing called Zoom exists, where you can talk to people in their front rooms, which I really like. And because, to be honest, what kind of kept me sane throughout it was being able to talk as we're talking. I love talking about music, and I've been really lucky that over the last, 18 months, I've got to talk to music to the people whose music I really enjoy. And so, yeah, it's been really nice to be able to kind of connect with so many people like this, and infuse about things like Sam Cooke and Depeche Mode. That they're the conversations I have with my friends, when I'm down the pub, and it's lovely that I can do this and throw it out into the podcast universe, and people listen to it and seem to enjoy it. So yeah, been really enjoying doing that, and hopefully plenty more of that next year, mate.
That's good, man. I hope everything works out with the club and everything else. And did you get a new dirty mat now again? Or did you get
What's that? Sorry.
Now you sold the mattress thing, the mat.
When we sold all the carpet.
The carpet thing. Did you get a new one?
Yeah, it's brand spanking new, but obviously we've had sort of 3 months of it being reopened, so it's.
You don't like it being clean, don't you?
It
doesn't feel right.
It smells clean in there, which is really weird. It just needs that kind of that sort of smell of, I don't know. It used to be sort of cigarettes, but it's more kind of stale beer and teen spirit. That kind of that kind of stench, which is it's slowly coming back. So yeah. Honestly,
carpet, it's a good thing. You sound so disappointed with it.
No. James, it's been a proper joy, mate. Like, I was so looking forward to having a chat with you about records, and when I got your list, I just thought we're going to talk about great records, and I didn't in a million years think we'd be talking about Sam Cooke and Muse. So it's been an absolute delight. Thank you so much, mate.
Thanks so much, and have a great Christmas and all that.
You too, buddy.
Speak to you soon.
Right, I'm going to press stop there.